Hey guys, it's Coach KJ, and I'm here with Cameron. And Cameron is in the military. He's been served how many years in the military?
6.
6 years in the military. And we are here talking about veterans and thanking veterans. Well, no, we're not talking about you. We're talking to you, right?
That's right.
Okay. So we're talking to veterans about life in the military and what exactly, or what are some of the things they learned from the military that they're now able to apply. So before we even start the interview, I want to say thank you for your service.
I appreciate your support.
Excellent. So Cameron, tell us a little bit about the military. Like, which branch were you in and how did you choose it?
So, choosing it was easy for me. My father was in the Army. He was he was in Panama in the Army, and decided for me at a young age he would have me watch all the Army movies, play soldiers out in the woods. So at a young age I was kind of set up to fail, is a fun term, to not question where I was going. I wanted to be in the Army. From a young age I always wanted to go out and fight. It's what my dad kind of told me to do. It's what my friends wanted to do. I didn't think of doing any. I didn't care so much that I did so badly in school that all my excuses were, I'm just going in I don't care. I'm going in the Army. Nothing else matters.
I read a statistic a while ago, and it was saying like approximately 80% of people who are in the military have an aunt, an uncle, a parent, a close relative who actually served in the military, and that's kind of what inspires them to keep up the tradition.
Right.
I can talk. So once you got into the military, or once you chose the Army,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So once you chose the Army, what were your thoughts? Were you like, when did it sink in that, because you apparently envisioned it early on, but when did it sink in that you were really in the Army?
I remember when I was 15, I went to a military camp of my own volition for summer because I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to do it. And then 16, I went and saw the recruiter. He said, come back a year later, but we'll get the paperwork started now. And then 17, when I swore in, you raise your hand and say an oath to protect the nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was like, I guess is this what it's like? It's just standing in an office? Because everyone told me, you're in the Army now. And I was like, but I don't feel like anything. So I guess my first moment of being in the Army was being told about it. But my first moment of being, oh, this is what it's really like, is I would have to say when I reported to my job training, my AIT, I thought I was being a grown-up by being like telling other people what to do. And then I quickly got swatted down, telling like, well, why you're the same as everyone here. Like, you can't be in a position to play. You haven't done anything yet. And I was like, oh, I guess I haven't done anything. And the next thing I know, I'm with everyone again alone. And then they all let me have it because I was telling them what to do. And I was like, oh, this is the Army. I can't. I'm in it. It's not me in the Army. It's the Army is me and other people. Wow. So I was like, okay, that's it. That's what it is.
So is that one of the things that you take with you now, is that it's not you alone, or you're not an entity alone, you're part of a larger group?
Yes. You're all for each other, and you have to be. It's so set up to work as a team that it does not work as an individual. The higher you go in the Army doing either something harder or more of a lateral position, no matter where you're at, there's always going to be an individual aspect where you need to be on your feet thinking, up at 1 a.m. on your own. But that doesn't come without someone else being there as well. Within the office next to you, or, in the range next to you, it doesn't matter. He's always working on something.
The interdependence.
Right.
So my uncle, I always say this, when my uncle would come visit and we would go out places, to the mall or wherever, he would see someone in the military and they would talk like they were best friends. I mean, they would just have a conversation. I'm like, really? And I always admired that instant camaraderie that came about from servicemen. Did you, you've experienced that too?
There's a instant camaraderie, like you said. It's just, oh, you were here, oh, I know there, and then you talk the talk. But there's also no other in my experience, there's no more toxic place than the veteran community as well.
Why do you say that?
How quickly they can try and tear someone down just because they had something they didn't have when they were in, just because they got an opportunity they didn't. They did something earlier in their career that they didn't get to until, if they did it at all.
So there's a comparative aspect of it.
There's a way to knife someone in a certain spot if you were in the Army as well. It just strikes a chord as dishonesty to the highest level. I mean, it hurts. You know?
Do you think that that's where, because we always hear about military men and PTSD and some of the other mental health challenges, once they get out, well, I don't know, maybe but definitely once they get out, do you think that that's a part of it, is the challenges with camaraderie or the challenges with storytelling? Or
For sure. I'm nothing special. I joined too late to see any combat. But with my medic role, I saw a lot of other, the medic world is always going to have an eye on things that people don't get to see, that usual soldier won't. Sparingly, and also you get the experience that's nice to have. So the PTS, I've heard a different term for PTSD. Instead of calling it a disorder, just PTS.
PTS, I'm sorry, PTS. I knew I was supposed to say that. I'm sorry.
It's a new term. I mean, PTS isn't officially recognized by the VA yet, I think. They just still recognize the PTS. PTSD, excuse me. So it's coined a new term. Makes it sound a little bit better. It's not a disorder. It's just something you have. It doesn't make me act out. It's just the actions come up again in your head, and it just brings you back to the moment. I wouldn't think I'm being disorderly or have something malignant that I'm doing just because of PTSD.
Right. I was working with military men from DOD, Department of Defense, and I remember they told me PTS, not PTSD. But so what would you say is something that you got in the military that you learned in the military that most people learn in the military that can help you post, in retirement?
You mean like transitioning out?
Transitioning out.
So I just asked. I mean, retirement is also applicable, but getting out. Yes, I have a story of failure. I did. Coming into the military at an early age, I started experimenting with drugs at a very early age. I started drinking and
before the military.
Right.
Okay.
It was weird. It was this diametrically opposed things I was doing. One is the ultimate order of discipline and just how things are done, no back talk, operating at a high level. And then the other thing is just the laziest, self-destructive things you can do to yourself. And I started messing around with stuff very lightly at 12 and 13. 14 and 15, I started getting into harder stuff, uppers and downers, and just partying, drugs, and it's called a garbage can just to take anything. And then I carried that. I got off it a little bit when I signed up and went away to basic because too much you can't do anything. And then I came back and I started partying pretty hard. And then I carried that with me into my AIT, the job training. And I got in trouble twice. I got a very high order of punishment. It's called an Article 15. I got the worst one you can get twice. I got busted in rank down to nothing twice.
Wait. So you can lose your stature?
Mm-hmm. You don't lose just physical, tangible things. You lose all your respect. I get placed out of school. I was at a 4-month school for 10 months. I saw my AIT experience was when you get placed out of training due to whatever it is, academic or behavioral problems, you get put in an area called the holdovers, which you're holding over until the next cycle of training. So you go to wherever they can fit you in to where you stop training at. So let's say you stop training at 4 weeks, then you wait for another place to be up to 4 weeks, and then you go with them. New people, new area, totally different. So I got in trouble originally because I got arrested for stealing, because I was going to steal clothes out of the post exchange. It's called a PX, to go buy cocaine with and other things with on base while in training. I didn't get that far because they arrested me at the PX. I was in handcuffs. They walked me through the whole mall of the PX, the post exchange.
So everybody saw it.
And with my hat over my face, being escorted by 2 police officers. And when I got outside to go to their squad car, there was a veteran benefit food truck out there, and they threw barbecue at me. And I got pretty angry. So I got, and maybe a little bit more, I don't really know if I did, but I started yelling at them. Officer pushed me into the cruiser, the police cruiser, and we went to the station. The people over me got a call that they needed to come pick me up from the station. They laughed at me. It was pretty funny because they thought I got like beat up or something because it's all red, but I'm so sticky.
The barbecue.
It's just like barbecue, you know. And so they picked me up. We go back to where we're supposed to be, our barracks. And then they're like, well, get ready to pay the man. And so they made me, before my actual punishment started on paper, the next 3 days, I was on a different schedule. You're on a punishment cycle now. You work out through breakfast, you work out for 3 hours, and then the distance from your barracks to the chow hall, which is where you get food, the DFAC is what you call it, dining facility, is uphill on about a half mile, and so they make me lunge all the way from there and back 3 times a day. They would make me run. It's undeservedly, but not undeservedly, you know.
Heavy PT.
A lot. And then I would go back at night. I haven't learned my lesson yet, so I'd go back at night and I would drink and do mushrooms and acid in my barracks room, and just come back the next day just gonked out of my head, ready to do lunges again. So later on, that was about 3 months of that, 3 days of the PT, and then I got my rank stripped away from me. I got my pay took for 45 days, and I got placed on something called extra duty for 45 days, which is you're just an errand boy. You're just doing whatever, just the most menial work possible. And then I think 2 weeks after I got done with that, I got caught in a female's room with 3 of my friends.
You just are looking for trouble.
Yes, I didn't stop. And so we were all intoxicated. And they called me before our big boss, our battalion commander, battalion sergeant major, who's the oversees everyone for the training. They were like, this is it. Like, you're get called chaptered out. They first threatened an other than honorable discharge, which I couldn't take. You know, it's just, then you get no benefits. You get nothing. It's like you were never in the Army. And then they were threatening to chapter me out, which is administrative separation. So that was the beginning of my Army career, is no rank, no pay, getting in trouble twice, making my instructors hate me, because they still knew I still reeked of, booze, and I still come down to train like ready to get after it. But they knew it was the wrong answer. You know, it was just like, are you not cut out for this? Because I would still do everything, but it's like you're just not going to accept. This isn't how we do things here. And it was me and like 15 people that were like that, and so we were bad. And the antics we got up to definitely made us get a lot of attention thrown our way, which wasn't good, but we didn't care, because all of those dudes were getting separated. And I remember the last day I was there, I'd been clean for about 2 weeks. We were at breakfast. I was sitting with all of them. We were being rowdy.
The 15.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's 6 of us were pretty tight friends. but there's 15 people, 3 different tables. And I was still eligible for training because all my punishment had been done. I was crushing PT tests, and I was just showing up to get the job done. Kind of still. I mean, when you're in a holdout, you're not training. You still get some menial stuff to do. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, one of our instructors came over. He goes, Dobbins, you're going to come with us. And I was like, I'm going back to training? Like, I got stopped in the middle of training. I don't remember anything. I've been out of my head, zonked for 6 months. I don't know what do you want me to do? You know, because this is insane to me. Like, we're going to go back to training. You're going to go back to day 1, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I was like, okay, well, bye, guys. And the last thing they said to me was, if you don't become a medic, we're going to kill you. Like, we're going to figure speech.
Right.
So you're going to pay for it. You know?
Was that your original goal, to become a medic, or did that become your goal?
Originally, before I even went to AIT, I got offered a lot of different options. I didn't care at all. I wanted to go fight. So that's why I never really connected with the people who joined for college or to see the world. It was being another friend of mine that went to basic and everything together. We were like, I want to go fight. Like, I want to go, forgive the expression, but you want to go die for something. Like, I want to go give my life. I don't want to do this for, I don't see myself living to 30. I don't care. I want to go fight, you know? Because there's just this innate thing. It's just in your heart of, it's like, it's all been very nice. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I'll see you, friends, but there's something bigger going on that I'm not going to shake off. I'm not going to stay around my hometown like so many of my other high school graduates did. Mm-hmm. I got to go do this. You know, I can't get rid of it. And so that was the initial. I was going to join in the infantry. I was like, I don't care. But since I was 17, I had to have my parents sign off on it. Mm-hmm. So like, we're not going to sign if you're doing this. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do something else. And so originally I was going to go do something chemical, which is the designation for it's called a 74 Delta. It's you're not a chemist, but you deal with chemical situations and how to respond to that stuff. And I was like, I guess I want to do. I don't really care about doing all of this. I just want to go be in the fight, or at least near the fight, and helping the fight.
So it was just, what you were doing was basically just a holding place until you can get to.
I
so
don't
that
know.
first year you were partying because you really didn't care, because you were in a holding place to get to where you wanted to be.
Yes, I didn't care at all. And so the last spot, a week before I was supposed to ship out to, like, I don't know, something I didn't really want to do. Because, talk to your recruiters, oh, this is a good spot for you. But really, it's just getting you to where they want you. Don't trust your recruiter. But, yeah, it was just, you want to go to the medic slot? I was like, medic? I'm stupid. I didn't show up. I was so stupid, too. I didn't care. I didn't care about being smart at all through school. I didn't care about learning things about the human body.
And you know what, Cameron, you're not alone, because when I used to teach, I would talk to my students and I would say, well, and my thing is math, right? And I would say, well, we're going to do such and such. And the kids would say, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't do that for the teacher, when I was substitute teaching. And they would say, I'm stupid. And I say, who told you that? And they would say, well, everybody says that this, and then by the time we put some time into it, some effort into it, they were amazed by what they could really learn. So let me ask you something. When did you start to care? When did you realize that you're really pretty smart and you could be a medic?
One instructor pulled me to the side during it. His name was Staff Sergeant Lopez. And he just sat down and he goes, why are you here? And he didn't do this with anyone else. It was weird because me and him would have a batter back. We were both funny. And so it's just, he'd pick on me. I'd say some snide remark, and so we just had a different kind of connection. And he pulled me and said, "What are you doing?" I was like, I don't know anything. I thought I made myself dumb. Not that I was innately dumb, but I used to go through cans of inhalant when I was young, like sniffing diesel, like huffing stuff. I was like, I thought I wasn't smart and physically well enough and mentally tough enough to be to retain any type of information. So I was like, I'm just here until I guess get kicked out or move on. I don't really know. So he's like, but
holding space,
right,
holding space, passing time.
right. And so he's like, but you made an 80 on a test. And I was like, yeah, I just looked at the Quizlet. Like there's this, you've heard of Quizlet.
I know what you're doing.
So I was like, yeah, it's easy. Once I see it, I can kind of retain it. And he's like, how long did you study for it? And I was like, a day. And he's like, so you made an 80 and you studied a day? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, well, how about you the next time study a day and see what you get? And I got like another 80. And I just kept making 80s. And I was like, oh, I guess this isn't that bad. And then that was the classroom part. And then he took me to the outside part where you learn how to put hands on people. And he goes, do you remember that thing we learned? Remember the things we learned? You got tested on it. He goes, you should remember it. I go, I think so. And he goes, well, go do it. I did it real quick. And he goes, that's great. And he goes, it's all in you. And he goes, I don't think you were doubting yourself, but you just didn't know what you were doing. Not obviously scholastically, but your whole purpose of being anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at in that moment. I could have been as lost anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're lost at. It matters finding yourself in something. So I was like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's kind of right. I've never thought about anything before in depth. I didn't care. And so I was like, Roger that. Right on, Sergeant. Like, I'll start putting out work more. Like, I guess this is good. And so at the end of it, I was doing great.
And because you had those moments of greatness, you started to care?
Right. And he's like, yeah, you're good. And then I was like, I guess I should be good at this. I can't believe I can't believe I'm good at this. I can't believe this is the one thing, how I've been dumb my whole life. Not calling myself dumb. I'm just know I'm dumb. And then I do something that's like kind of high level. It's like, I can't believe I'm doing good at this.
Was it that you couldn't believe you were doing good at that, or you couldn't believe you were doing good at anything?
Anything. I thought I would be, if I wasn't for the Army, I'd be digging ditches somewhere. Not to disparage ditch diggers, but like something not mental forward,
But the bottom line is, you and your dad learned early on how to fight, right?
Right.
Your dad was teaching you how to fight early on, and maybe the fight wasn't in combat. Maybe the fight was the mental fight to go beyond, because with all the things that you're saying you did, right? All the things that you were going on early on, you had to fight to keep going. And somebody may have seen something in your fight, in your tenacity, to say, hey, look, you know what? He needs to be back in training. We need him.
Right. Which was great. Because I didn't think of anything.
Did you feel needed?
I didn't feel needed until I got to my unit after I completed training. And then the real, I had a break in, I don't know how to say it. So I'll just say what happened. When I got back from training, I was talking to my dad, and he was telling me all this stuff about his basic training.
His basic training
Back in the 80s. I was like, that's crazy. Don't you have any stories about when you went to your job training or Panama? And he goes, nah, we didn't talk that much. I go, so nothing happened you can tell me about? No. And I go, okay, that's weird. And so there's this thing on the computer called, it's an act called the Freedom of Information Act. It's where you can pull up someone's service record and see what happened. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing there. I pulled up his service record. It was kind of blank. And then I started looking again. And I started talking to his mother, my grandma, about it. And she was kind of not wanting to talk about the topic. And so I asked him again, and he stonewalled me. And then I forget the link on a government website. And he got kicked out in basic. And he lied about it.
So all that time he was teaching you to be tough.
It was like, I can see where he wanted me to do good. And he didn't do anything. The things he did that were bad turned out to be good to believe in. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what do you do with that? I don't know how to feel about that. And later on, he was, he's just a He's just a weird dude now. He's good and bad, but I do appreciate believing in that, but knowing that is now a lie is...
Do you think he thought you'd make it out of basic training?
He didn't want me, when I signed the paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
he was all up for me doing cool stuff when I was young, but I think once reality hit him in the face, he didn't want me to go in the military at all. So it's like, I don't know what to do with that. It's been weird. So the path to doing anything with that, knowing that and moving forward is just forgiving and it's just, you got to forgive. You have to be bigger than it. And I was like, how can I be bigger than it? It's like what I based my whole thing on. It's like, I don't know anything besides wanting to go fight. And that was instilled for me from then on. Mm-hmm. I was like, I guess I'll just keep kind of doing what I'm doing. Is not bad, It's not like it's like detrimental to society or detrimental to myself. You can make a career out of it. You can do good things. So I guess I'll just keep going on this path.
And you were good at it.
Yeah.
And you were needed.
Right.
And you're part of a team. And you're getting paid.
Yet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say through all those transactions, through all the lunges and stuff like that, what would you say are, some of the key things that you think the military gave you that you can use as a veteran? Because what I hear a lot of times is that people are leaving the military and they're just trying to figure out, like, oh God, what's next? Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure about that next step. How did that mental toughness or that physical toughness, whatever it may be, or the lessons learned, help you as you transition from active duty to civilian life?
What's nice about not having seen combat is the longing of still wanting to do something. I know a lot of dudes that I was with all through training that were like, if we don't see it, what am I doing it for? I want to go. This is my life goal. I didn't plan anything past 30 because of this. I was like, I'm ready to give up everything for this. And so there's this, like I said, it comes from deep in your heart. And it's like, if you can find that and replace that with something else that would drive you equally, is a way to get past maybe some unsatisfactory things that didn't happen, that have happened you didn't like. It's just whatever opportunities you can give yourself by just finding a new mission. Do the same. You can still accomplish things the way you did in the military on the civilian side. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard because the respect and drive is still, or the hustle and drive is still respected on the civilian side. You're allowed to talk about how good someone else is doing. It's not such an alpha world where you can't compliment anyone. It's just a nonstop competition. It's so you can respect each other and realize that, oh, these people have this dude with an MBA is 10 years younger than me. I'm just starting mine. That's fine.
Can you compliment and encourage in the military?
Depends on what, if it's, from the infantry world, kind of. I was with the infantry for all of it. The light infantry with the tanks, and it's all the same mindset as it's you're a dude, you're a man, you got a job to do. It can kind of be complimentary, but it's not without some I want to be better than that next time. Whatever I'm saying to you now is what I'm going to try and be the next time. And
competing with yourself.
You're going to be the next time, and then he's going to be the next time, and then I'm going to be, and then the other dude's going to be. It's like we're all going to try and be the dude who kills it. Every training evolution we do, you're going to be the one that stands out, trying to work hard. And that was in job training and stuff, mm-hmm. where it was super trying to compete. And then when you get to, what's weird about the National Guard is it's what's one way to do it? There's great people in the National Guard, mm-hmm. but there's too much risk at chance to have people who don't do their job full time to come in and do it once a week. That's not even part time. There's not a job in the world that lets you come do your job that's supposedly highly trained once a month I mean, that's crazy. So it's the competitive edge is not there. You get some people who are way above you in your own field. You get some people who are fine simmering at the bottom. And I was both. Complacency is a hard thing to beat. You can definitely be complacent and also good at your job. You can be on top of everything and also be complacent. Now, usually those people who are on top of everything aren't like that.
Right.
But having them there is definitely a weird thing to see. But
so basically, you're saying once you leave the military, or while you're in the military, you learn how to be the best that you can be at your job. Move beyond complacency. You learn interdependence, and you are able to fine tune or highlight some of your skills and strengths. And just one last thing, exercise. How important is exercise post military?
Post military, it's what you have to do. There's not an option to not do it.
And it helps you how?
There's not a way it doesn't. That's how much it helps you. It's hard to name the things. There's so many things to name how it helps you that it's easier to see that how it wouldn't help you.
But if you were named three ways the way that it helps you, because one of the things right now we're finding is with regards to mental health is that once people get off, the couch and start to keep up with a consistent workout routine, it seems to help mentally, physically, and in so many other ways. So if you could think of like 1, 2, or 3 ways that physical regimen has helped you.
The one thing I'll talk about the third, the biggest one is pain cave, and that's with running and studying. But the first is just being calm, having the ability to pace yourself through a workout and not burn it, not chase a pump, not just to burn yourself out physically is a way to calm your mind for it mentally. It's getting your just body ready for a test. It's the same way of getting your mind ready for a written exam,
Okay. And number 2?
Number 2. What would number 2 be? It's just good. I mean,
it's just good overall.
It's good overall. It's just great.
Well, you know what? I don't want to belabor it. But I do want to say, thank you so much for your insight. Thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you for what you're giving to people who are looking into the Army, trying to figure it out, find their purpose, and find something beyond age 30, as you said. Find something more than just combat. And thank you for your service.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
Excellent.